Again, why am I talking about rape? Because rape can even happen to men, right? The thing is, if the male fights back, he's going to be blacked out somehow. See, he don't want me talking about rape, perhaps because he was raped too, but he can't talk about his, right? It could have even been a family member or someone close to him who, again, he didn't think would rape him, right? Even if it's a her, like Sheena and Lisa, right? If it's your own father trying to have sex with you, that's going to mess you up. I understand that, right? I was just trying to accept her and be with her unconditionally, right? Now, what she either got confused with is the religiosity of me being one of the two witnesses, right? And that's in her head, not mine, right? You understand, right? She's thinking what she's thinking about it, not me thinking what she's thinking about it, right? So if she's confused, right, she's confusing what the rule means. But even Elijah is a like man of same passion as you is. Yes. Who also ran from Jezebel, right, in fear because of the feminine words of God in the Hebrew, including Sabaoth, right, which is feminine plural, right? Elohim, which is our God, right? Notice the he and not the hey. Right. Hey is wrong. He is wrong. He is right. He is right. Again, I'm having to tell you this after the fact, though. Some men settled on hey around the time of the writing of Strong's Concordance of the Bible, so I'm having to refute that it's wrong. Because of her. La'ah. Ya'ah. Ya'el. Her name is Yael. Her name is Yael. Now, to balance all this stuff, we need to return to the truth, right? But you're so stuck in your ways because of Constantine, who perfectly fucked you up with his doctrine, right? It's his doctrine, not Jesus's, and not the disciples, right? Like I told you, right? Well, that's what I'm asking you that, right? Do you think Peter would be so upset that Jesus was the androgynous that if he found out he would burn the body? That's what I'm asking you, right? Like he was a witch or something, right? I don't know. See, that's how they looked at women with power, or religiosity as witches, right? Okay, they're not witches just because they have power, right? With God and men, right? Some women, like Huldah and Deborah, even taught men and led men into battle, right? That's a leadership role, like a general or and he talks to the daughters as daughters of a troop, right? Which was the women in a troop fighting for the Lord. And Lady Jesus Christ, right? See, that's what you don't understand, right? He is the church, the whole church, not 50-50 like we are now, right? Like we were in Eden before the fall, when God first made us pure, right? Now, why one, right? As an adult, right? And then two, right? That he may seek a godly seed. If we're made from the matter and dust of the planet, right? We're not made of, we're made of certain substance, right? These substances that we're made out of, they're put together for a reason. Okay, first thing you got to understand is if something makes you, right, you're going to be in a pattern, a design, right, for it to live in you too, right? And that pattern is why these particular organisms, right, including us, live with God in us, right? And that's what you can't get over, right? And you blame God like Adam does too for the butt sucking, excuse my French, right? Kind of raping, right? Situation he found himself in when he agreed to the terms of the deal, right? Now, Eve did too first, right? Okay, but Eve already had something inside of her. Satan was probably a virgin too, right? In that he was in the androgynous form, not the male and female form, right? So Adam got Satan's vaginal virginity and butthole virginity, right? And then it was his turn, right? That's when it went dark, right? Now, your problem is the scriptures Moses left behind are not to be tampered with, but you can interpret them further because it only tells you a short part of his life, retard. Yes. Or you wouldn't have the damn Ten Commandments with Charleston Heston either, right? Which tries to go into some of that, right? We don't even know for sure which pharaoh it was, right? But it was around the reign of Ramses II, right? Which would make sense. I know. But your problem is what? You want a perfect little world wrapped all up in one explanation, but you don't want to hear the true explanation, right? It bothers you. Because it would bother Adam, Eve, and Satan too, to tell it, right? That's what you forget too. If they didn't tell it properly, and they mislead you that they thought it was a fruit tree they weren't supposed to eat of, and it was really sex with Satan, right? And eating of the fruit of his body, they weren't supposed to do, right? If they did it anyway, it's still part of why we sinned with him, right? The other sin is he went down into the grave, into the watery deep. It says all that in Ezekiel 31, talking about who? Satan. Who the current Pharaoh and the Syrian king were acting like still, right? When you act like Satan, you are acting like Satan. When you act like Jesus, you are acting like Jesus. One forgives you, one condemns you. Know who's whom. Or you're lying to yourself. Now, part of that forgiveness includes repenting, right, of whatever sin you're doing. Or if you're doing something you feel comfortable doing, okay, what you got to do then is be comfortable in doing what you're doing, right? But also know not everybody does what you do, right? How is that so hard for you to understand? Okay, consent involves a yes or a no as well. If the person says no and you do it anyway, it's a rape. And don't matter who it is. If it's a cousin, if it's a again, right? Again, right? Or someone you're not related to and you think they're a cousin. You think they're a cousin, right? See, that's the point too, right? Now, Aunt Francine, I know, again, right? Uncle Ronnie, maybe, but Russell's kids, I don't know anymore, right? Not even if Tootie's related to me. I definitely know her friend who was over wasn't, right? But like I said, all I know is I was sleeping in Shay's room, and I woke up later on playing Ninja, right? Which that's because I'm watching the Ninja movies, right? Right. That's just acting out, right? As a kid would do, not really aware of why he's doing it, right? But if you're watching the ninja movies, the ninja sneaks into the bedroom, right? Of the female. So he's sleeping in the cousin's room, right? But why? Because, you're not to sleep with the females, right? But you can't sneak into the room if you're interested in the females, right? And like I told you, whatever the blackout or the problem is, right? I'm arguing with someone about something, right? It could have even been a wet dream with Shay, but I don't know. But I don't remember. Right. Like with Chris, right? Now, what Chris did, I don't remember, because again, I'm asleep. See, when you're asleep and doing that, right, it's not about who's sleeping next to you, right? Those things are things anyone can do with anyone around them. Even Myron and David saw me humping the bed over at his grandpa's house, right? And that's what it is, a wet dream, right? When you're humping the bed, right, no one's with you, and you're asleep, it's a wet dream. You don't want to get that either, right? Now, if I'm having semi-conscious wet dreams, that's because I'm finishing the dream of the female I'm thinking of, right? Because you can't handle the truth. But someone's got to tell it for us, right then, right? Too, right? Do you understand, right? If Satan is condemning us by the sin in Eden, and by one man's sin we're all condemned, one man also must confess it. That's also all for one and one for all. You understand? Right? What he's doing there is trying to condemn us all, right? What Jesus is trying to do is save us all by forgiveness, right? By the forgiveness of one man, right? The understanding of one man can also save you all in what's called a ricochet effect, right? It don't matter if you believe it. I do. I'm not here to convince you either, right? I can't. You done made up your mind, right? No one can convince someone who's done made up to their mind that they're right when they're wrong, right? And not even Jesus himself can tell you if you think you're right when you're wrong, right? Not even God itself can tell you if you think you're right when you're wrong, right? You're so stubborn, like I told you, Satan ain't got nothing on you, little boy. You're acting like the son of the devil. Dracula. For real. And you won't admit you're being Dracula, right? Son of the dragon, right? The dragon is usually seen as Satan, too, right? So if Jesus is a dragon, he's a white dragon. And if Satan's a dragon, he's a red dragon, right? And it has something to do with blood. Even though Jesus was diffused with Mary's blood, right? He still conceived asexually in the womb of her body, right? Now he entered in through the door, and is the door, right? That's a reference to him being androgynous, right? Yes, it is. So did Job, enter in by the door of his mother's womb, right? Be lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in, right? Through the door. I am a door, says the woman. She's the door. She's your way into the earth. Or, and she's equally, if not more important than the male, right? Because Christ can come in without a man or a woman, but needs one to give birth to him, right? If he becomes human, right? It's just the details of what they're not telling you, right? Put in scientific terms, even. So Mary was the surrogate mother of Christ, right? That's how you would say it today, right? And God formed him in the womb as a pre-conceived child at least one day after conception, right? You understand, right? From the being he is in heaven into that little embryo. That's what you can't wrap your mind around, Christian Jews and Muslims, right? How it did that with the child Jesus, right? The little Lord Jesus, no crying he makes. Now, another thing about religiosity is if I don't know who I'm supposed to marry, and you pretend we can be together, I'm not saying we can't, right? But nor am I saying we can't, right? We all got to play by the same rules, though, right? If you can't be with me, I can't be with you, right? Both ways apply, right? If you're 15, you're old enough to know that in a year you can have sex, right? But if you do it before that time, you get in trouble, right? Because you're not supposed to do it either. See, when the female commits the crime and says to the person who's getting a nail job from her, she's 37, right? It looks like Michelle Kwan to him. As if she stepped out the damn magazine herself. And he goes into the bathroom with her and they had sex or not, whatever. We could have just talked, whatever, right? I don't remember, whatever, right? I'm not saying I would, and I'm not saying I wouldn't, right? But all I know is I would ask her age before we even thought of doing that. Because even Michelle Kwan could pass for 15 at 37 a bit too, right? She still would, to me, look like a young Vietnamese woman. I don't know her race. I don't know if Kwan is Chinese, Vietnamese, or Korean. I don't think Japanese, though. But it could be one of those three, right? Though Lee is popular in Korea, right? But again. Okay. But see, y'all just want the glitz and the camera, the lights and the production, right? And to be the little star on the screen, right? What I'm doing is teaching you about it, right? The legals ins and outs, right? And the true way to use fair use, right? Which is for educational purposes, critique, parody, impersonation, right? Would be included in parody, by the way, right? And using the lyrics to explain what they mean, right? See, another way you can critique a song is explore the lyrics, right? If your lyrics make sense, that's right. It's what you do with a poem. Quote the raven nevermore, whatever, right? Back to Poe, huh? Back to Poe, huh? The Edgar Allan. It's also a furniture store, ain't it? Edgar Allan. Just no Poe. But like I told you, right? Even if me and Poe disagree or agree, or me and Tyler, or me and whoever, right? I'm not saying you can't be my friend, Tyler, but why are you asking to come by my house and I don't even know who you are or what you look like, right? I can't say you can and I can't say you can't, right? Even if you're offering to help me clean up the house, right? I'm not saying you would, right? I'm saying I don't even know what you look like, so I can't invite you over. You each show me a picture of yourself, so why would I do that? You're a stranger, right? That's stranger danger to me, and I don't know you, right? I ain't even seen a picture of what you look like, so I wouldn't even know it was you if you drove up to the house or not, right? So I mean, too, I'm not judging you. I'm saying, no, that's not a good idea right now. I don't even know who you are or what you look like, right? I mean, you could be Tyler Perry for all I know, but though I never met him either. But like I said, I'm only 1.3% black. That's not black nothing, right? To anybody, really. But that does mean I have an ancestor who has to be 100% black, right? If it's 1% or more. But it is. I'm also Arabic, which I didn't know, and I'm also Spanish, which I didn't know. So I'm Latino too, right? Whatever it is, it's about 3% of those three races, right? So that truly makes me mixed on it. I'm also French, German, English, Irish, Italian, Greek, and Irish. Irish being the most. I'm a quarter Irish, right? Over a quarter Irish, right? So that must be me, my Kent, right? Is mainly Irish, right? And Bobby may have gotten a little bit of the Indian, but again, right? And there's two tribes here, the Yamacraw and the Cherokee, right? And like I said, the great grandmother, right, is probably the Indian, right? Full blooded, right? But she was bred out. She was kind of bred out, right? Because if she married into an Irish family, right, to stay behind because of the Trail of Tears, because this will be about the same time as that, too. About 1890 to 1900, right? Well, my great-grandfather had my grandmother by 1924, right? Typically, you marry around, what, 20 to 25, right? Somewhere there, right? Back then, man. You might even marry quicker. I don't know. But at least between 18 to 25, you marry, right? And he married into the Skinner family, right? Which is his wife's maiden name. I know. Now, he was a Watkins, right? Whatever that means. Now, the Indian wouldn't have a name. The female Indian wouldn't have a name like ours, right? But I'm sure it was a female, right? Marrying an Irish male, right? And he would make the great-granddaddy 50-50 Indian, 50-50 Irish, right? Mima, again, if he married into an Irish family, right? The Skinners, right? And that's a trade as well. Means they were butchers, right? By the way. But my story is because I think it's interesting whether you do or not. You understand? And you, you, if you don't, I'm part of the exiles, right, Skinner? Hey, Skinner. Coincidentally, their boss, right? His name's Skinner too, right? Didn't know that till recently too, right? But now I'm really part of the exiles, right? Damn. But you don't know until, again, you start looking into it yourself, right? And you find all these things out you didn't know before, right? That's how it is for everyone. And then some people just won't let go of their lie. I know. That's another problem, right? Assholes having with me, right? I can call him an asshole, that's legal. He's being an asshole. If someone's really doing something to you and they won't stop, they're being an asshole. You can say that. FYI, educationally wise, yeah. You can tell he's being an asshole. He won't stop arguing moot points, right? Whereas Shane's being Shane still trying to look for a girlfriend because he loves women and to get, right? Was never had a gay bone in his body, right? For himself. Not, yes, I was kind of driven into that, right? They're trying to drive me into that, right? Because they're stereotypically looking at my looks. But then, like I told them, what? I can't be a lesbian now? I eat pussy, do you? the vagina. I mean, I'm licking it, right? Before I stick it, right? The pussy is a slang word for a vagina or a cat, right? Or a kitty. I lick the kitty of a female. Exactly. Some men don't do that, gay or straight, but some men do. And am I being a lesbian? In that way, I guess I'm gay, right? If you want to treat me like a lesbian, because I lick the kitty. But okay. Because I was told by a female that their clit is more on the outside, right? And just sex alone don't hit it, right, all the time, right? Unless she's on top sometimes, right? Some of you won't even let the female be on top. Because, of course, that's probably how she was seduced by Satan, right? To have sex on top of him, right? And what he's doing is blinding Adam to his penis. And making him think he's with the woman. Which is why he's allowing it, right? Until it's his turn. So it's his turn. See, if Satan's a hermaphrodite, he has the breast of a woman, the penis of a serpent, right? And a tight vagina too, right? And a butthole. That's just describing it to you using medical terms, right? Because it still applies to a hermaphrodite even today, right? I've seen them on porn, right? They look like they're both, right? Now, I can't tell you to tell the truth. I can't make you tell the truth. But I am for you as in one for all and all for one, right? You understand, right? Someone has to tell it now. It's been 2,000 years. You've been tipped in Christ. You've been moving away from Christ. You've been following Constantine's doctrine, not Jesus's, right? Or the disciples, right? And you broke off from the knowledge of God, right? That's what they're trying to teach you, right? Not man. Now, some of it mixes Satan's confusion of the material world as well. Now, if God didn't want the material world to exist, it would have made the matter, but you made it from, dummy. In the Big Bang, right? That's God's Big Bang, though, being that it gave birth to the universe. All the stars, all the planets, all the matter, God gave birth to it. In a physical and spiritual sense as well, right? Why do you think we do that, though? That's still a form of asexual and sexual reproduction, too, for God, who's a spirit, to make the matter which we're made out of, right? And make us male and female in the first form, right? And then from one into two, right? To reproduce ourselves, right? Both representing it equally, right? But then you're two, and then you want to dominion or dominate each other, right? The male to the female. Then it comes to the battle of the sexes, which is also what Satan wants. So you're not one with each other anymore, right? One mind and one accord is the doctrine we're supposed to be teaching that we quit teaching after Constantine. And it still took him like another 200 years to wipe out the Gnostic Gospels themselves, to where only one copy was left. But that copy also survived to today. That's why, even if it dates back to 500 AD, it fits what happened with Constantine, right? They started destroying all the manuscript of the Gnostics, right? And it took them about another 200 years to do that. So that means there were more copies of the Gnostic Gospels. If it takes you 200 years to destroy them all, right? Right. There were a few Gnostic Gospels. There was a lot of Gnostic Gospels, right? And if there's a lot, right, that means something too, right? It was way more popular, the Gnostic Gospels, than the Orthodox Gospels, right? These are the Gospels they accepted into the canon, right? But even then, the Book of Enoch, for example, right? That would be part of the Gnostic Gospels as well. As would the Apocrypha, right? That's also dealing with Judaism during the Greek and Roman reign, right? But this is more the Greek version during the Middle Ages before Jesus, right? See, that's from 400 to 00 BC and AD, right? Now that still has to do with Caesar, right? Before Caesar and Anno Domini, right, means Lord Caesar, not right? Had nothing to do with Jesus. Had nothing to do with Jesus, right? I keep telling you that too. None of this has to do with Jesus, but their image of Lord Caesar being now. And a Roman emperor, if you tell him Christ is really androgynous or a hermaphrodite, it's going to freak out. And will not want to hear that at all. And that's what I mean about the musketeers, right? That's why I see myself as a musketeer, right? Even with Russell as the fourth musketeer, right? David and Myron, right? Wouldn't really matter. But you gotta figure out your truth and live it or don't, right? It's not about the acts either, right? That's why it says you're saved by grace through faith, not of works, easy against your best. That even applies to a gay couple or a straight couple or a bi couple, or even if you have more than one wife. That's grace too. That's grace too. Solomon had more than one wife. Yes. David. Abraham after Hagar and Sarah, though he still had sex with Hagar, even if Eleazar was the one to get her pregnant, right? Now, why would he do that? He wouldn't inherit anyway. And if Eleazar's Abraham's manservant and Hagar's Sarah's manservant, don't you think if he has sex with Hagar first, right? He's looking at it as if his child would inherit anyway, ain't he? But then again, right? Can I say that and be politically correct? Because that means Eleazar's son is really Ishmael, right? And Isaac is Abraham's only son with Sarah. Until after she dies, and then he marries other women and has children with them too, right? Though then he's between 140 to 160 years old, right? Though he dies at a certain time, right? Still under Methuselah's time, right? And technically, Methuselah only lived less than 269 years, right? Somewhere around there, right? Older than his son, right? And, though his son also died before him, too, right? Oh. And he also is rumored to have died right before the flood hit, right? But these are just little gems you don't think about unless you, again, want to really understand all the Bible. And I mean all. If you're not using all the scriptures, though, in your doctrine, you're lying. And, like me and lie, I know. That's the problem.